Thank you for joining Cancer Support Community Atlanta for this program. Please visit our website, cscatlanta.org, for a complete list of live and recorded events. We invite you to sign up for our newsletter to stay connected to all future programs.
Good afternoon, everybody. It is a very frigid afternoon, and I hope that you are all staying warm. And happy New Year. And I thought that this topic was apropos, as I don't know if you guys are like me, but in December, I didn't have time to be mindful about anything. It was just rush, 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 go, go, go. No time to just pause and check in with myself. How am I feeling? How am I doing? Um, and so this is a good time for a reset. And this presentation is geared primarily towards survivorship. And a lot of people in January decide they want to work on some weight management. And so this can be helpful for that. It can be helpful with easing anxiety, just surrounding food. And I will get into more of those types of details later. And as Lauren said, please feel free to either save your questions for the end, or you can type them in the chat box, and I will circle back to those. Make sure you get all your questions answered. So questions that we're going to answer today is, what is mindful eating and what is mindfulness in general? Also, what are the benefits of mindful eating? Why should we even consider doing so? How can we implement mindful eating and make it a habit in our everyday lives? And what are some strategies for eating with others? Because it can potentially be difficult to implement when eating out or when other people are around. But first, we're going to do an exercise. And I see a lot of you are sitting comfortably at home. And so this will be a good time and a good way to do this. So this is an exercise in mindfulness. So I want everybody to just sit comfortably. If you're sitting straight up, you can relax a little bit back in your chair. Now put one hand on your chest and the other on your belly. And we're going to breathe now and take 4 deep breaths. So the hand on your belly should be the one moving, not the hand on your chest. And now we're going to get started. Now breathe in and exhale. Now breathe in again and imagine all of the air traveling down to your navel. And exhale. Breathe in again. Now imagine all of the air traveling down to your knees. And lastly, breathe in one more time and imagine all of that air traveling all the way down to your toes. Now, you don't have to answer this verbally, but just think in your mind, how did that feel? And did you notice anything around you? Did you notice that you began to relax a little bit more? Did you notice maybe some of the sounds in your room or the background noises? It's just something to pay attention to, because when we're practicing mindfulness, we just want to check in with ourselves and then also with our surroundings. So mindful eating. So mindfulness is an intentional focus on one's thoughts, emotions, and physical sensations in the present moment. So mindful eating is using all physical and emotional senses to fully enjoy and experience food. And practicing mindfulness when eating is going to help increase gratitude. It always discourages judgment, and we always want to avoid distractions whenever possible. Mindful eating encompasses considering the source of food and the means of preparation, and just honoring the food and acknowledging either where the food was grown, who prepared the meal, eating without distractions to help deepen that eating experience. We want to engage all of our senses, noticing the sounds, colors, smells, tastes, and textures of food and how you feel while eating that food. You want to pause periodically to engage all of your senses. We want to also monitor portion sizes. So this is about the preparation part of it, to help avoid overeating and food waste. We want to always use a dinner plate no larger than 9 inches, which we talk about many times in here, and fill it only once. So we want to make sure that if we're not still hungry, we're not going to be wanting to go back for seconds. Also, just slowing down. So savoring those small bites of food and chewing thoroughly. This practices can help slow down the meal and fully experience the food's flavors. And don't skip meals, because any time that we go without eating for more than 4 or 5 hours, it can increase the risk of a strong hunger, which may lead to the quickest and easiest food choice, which is not always the best choice. It's usually the energy-dense foods, maybe not the most healthful choices. So trying to set meals around the same time each day, as well as planning for enough time to enjoy that meal or snack, can also reduce the risk of overeating. And then also considering your health in mindful eating. So eating a plant-centric diet that we talk about oftentimes in here, considering the long-term effects of eating certain foods. So processed meat and saturated fat are associated with an increased risk of cancer, so colon cancer specifically, and heart disease. Hold on. Okay, we're going to try this again. So mindful eating helps to reduce the binging. And so if we're slowing down and taking at least 20 minutes to consume our meal, that's actually how long it takes the signal to get from your stomach to your head that you're full. And so if you're eating your meal or your snack within just a 5-minute time frame, that signal hasn't had time to get to your brain to let your body know that you're no longer hungry. And so really taking your time is going to be helpful with mindfulness. Again, because of that, we're probably not going to be overeating. So that's going to help manage your weight. And then promoting wellness, like we discussed before. So those are benefits in and of themselves, but they've also been shown to help with anxiety, depression, and detrimental food-related behaviors like eating disorders and binge eating as well. So the 4 focuses of mindful eating are mindfulness of the body, of the feelings, of the mind, so that's what you're thinking, mindfulness of the way things are, so that's going to be your surroundings. And fundamentally, it involves listening to your physical hunger cues and eating only until you're full. So physical hunger cues may be your stomach growling or grumbling, or starting to feel a little bit lightheaded and you realize that you haven't eaten in a while. We want to distinguish between actual hunger and non-hunger triggers for eating. So some non-hunger triggers for eating may be things like you're stressed out, or you got in an argument with a family member or something like that, and you think, I just need to get something to eat. That's a non-hunger trigger for eating. We want to engage our senses, want to learn to cope with guilt and anxiety surrounding food, eating to maintain overall health and well-being, and noticing the effects food has on your feelings, physical health, and figure, and just appreciating your food. So first, we're going to talk about the body. And you want to pose the question, am I actually hungry? So we all have different bodies with different benefits and difficulties, and we all experience some similar and some different sensations of people, like I mentioned before. So physical feelings may be feeling tired, energetic, or you may even be in pain. It's important to acknowledge, what are you grateful for about your body? Its working parts, feeling healthy today. So when we acknowledge our physical hunger cues, this is a really good tool to use. It's called the hunger fullness scale. And you'll see that number 1 means that you are absolutely famished, you are over hungry, you're weak, you're dizzy, you're irritable. Maybe you hadn't eaten in a day or 2. So number 10 is going to be a Thanksgiving style dinner. So you're so stuffed, you feel sick, you can't fit in another bite even if you tried. So our goal in mindful eating is to sit right between a 3 and a 6 here. So when you hit a 3, make sure you have a snack handy. You're hungry with symptoms, you're ready to eat. Maybe you're experiencing some slight growling in your stomach, or again, just a tiny, tiny bit of lightheadedness. And you'll see here, number 4 is I could eat. Number 5 is content, you're not hungry nor full. And then number 6, that's after you've waited those 30 minutes to eat and you're comfortably full and satisfied. And so that's the point where you're going to want to stop eating to avoid overeating. So emotions, what are you feeling? We've discussed the physical, and now we're going to discuss the emotions. So if you look at some of these faces here, you may think to yourself, well, that person looks anxious. That person looks stressed or scared. There's somebody who looks surprised, happy, all sorts of emotions. So questions you want to ask yourself and how you're feeling is, are you enjoying the food in the moment? Are you even enjoying the experience? Is that moment helping you? Why are you eating? Did you actually feel hungry, or were you experiencing emotions such as stress or anxiety? You want to acknowledge what could help you enjoy this moment more. And also, why are you making the choice that you're making right now? So when you are acknowledging the emotions, it's important not to judge and to just look at emotions as neutral and not good or bad. And to just acknowledge why you're making the decisions you're making in regards to food, and you can choose differently next time if need be. So we're going to look at the spotlight on stress eating. So stress eating is very common, particularly with everything going on in the world right now. But we want to notice that it is a cycle. So at the very top, you'll see where it says stress. So when you're stressed out and you use food to cope, it can lead to overeating. In a harmful way. When you're stressed, it may not look like overeating, but you choose high sugar or fried or processed foods, and you eat when you're not hungry. But unfortunately, this does have an effect on our body. So what does it do? It can lead to poor blood sugar control, physical discomfort, fatigue, weight gain. And we know in our context that just having additional weight sitting on your body can increase your risk for cancer or cancer recurrence. So we want to make sure to maintain and attain or maintain a healthy weight. So after we've overeaten, we're having physical discomfort. This can create feelings of guilt, embarrassment, helplessness, frustration, which then in turn can lead to more stress. And so the cycle continues. So how do we break this stress eating cycle? Using something health producing to cope and can help break that stress eating cycle. So it's going to be a different list for everybody. And I would recommend taking 5 or 10 minutes to just make a list of what decreases your stress. And I put some examples to the right. So that's movement. Some of you may like to garden. Some of you may be runners. Maybe you like to go out and take a run. Journaling your feelings, writing poetry, just sitting in the quiet, prayer, deep breathing, talking to others. So speaking with a counselor, therapist, a friend, or a mentor, feeding your body with healthful foods. So nutrient-rich foods for cancer fighting, antioxidants, and phytonutrients. That's a great thing to do. Also, make sure that you're consuming right portion sizes. And so we're going to fill in that blank here with what works best for you. So I would encourage you, this is your part of your homework, is to make a list of how you can use, which coping mechanisms you can use in order to avoid stress eating. So what are these types of things going to do to you physically? It's going to reduce your blood pressure. It's going to reduce that cortisol, which is your stress hormone. It's going to nourish your body. And in turn, that's going to create feelings of accomplishment, joy, gratitude, peace, calmness. And you then at this point, you have broken the cycle. So healthy eating plate, this is a really great visual that we show often when we're meal planning or considering our foods, which can be helpful in eliminating stress eating and help us increase mindfulness. So you want to take out that 9-inch plate and then draw an imaginary line down the middle. For those of you who hadn't heard me say this before, And you want to fill half that plate, and that's where it says fruits and vegetables, with lots of colors. So all the colors of the rainbow. That's going to have, again, cancer-fighting antioxidants and cell-protecting phytonutrients. And you want to make sure to vary that on a daily basis. So you're not always eating broccoli every day or an apple every day, but every color from red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, and then varying those. And then you want to make a fourth of that 9-inch plate your whole grain. So that's going to be your quinoa, your brown rice, your wild rice, and also limiting enriched foods like white rice and white bread can be very, very helpful. And then that last fourth of your plate is going to be a healthy, lean protein source. So your salmon, any type of fish, your poultry. Beans are unique because they can go in that protein section, or they can go in the whole grain or starchy vegetable section above it. And you just want to make sure to avoid bacon, cold cuts, and other processed meats because, as we know and as we discussed in this class, processed meats can lead to cancer. Processed meats and alcohol are the only cancer-causing foods. So that's just important to remember too. And then as far as incorporating healthy fats, olive oil, avocado, nuts can help make your plate a little bit more exciting, and then also add some good healthy fats. So I also use this visual a good bit. This is from the American Institute of Cancer Research, and it has the 1/3 or less animal protein on the plate, and then just fill the other 2/3 of your plate with lots of plants. So again, your whole grains, your fruits, your vegetables, and then just varying those on a daily basis. And so you're getting a variety of nutrients, and also so you're just not going to get bored. So that's why that's very important. Okay, so next we want to incorporate our minds, and we want to consider what am I thinking? What am I thinking in this moment? A lot of us don't even slow down to consider what we're thinking. Our minds are so flexible. We get distracted easily with so much going on. While we're typically aware of multiple things, we have that choice to bring awareness to one of those, to certain things. So at a regular meal, we'll need to be intentional to ask ourselves questions and guide our thoughts back to the present. It is going to take some practice to do this and to be mindful with every bite and not just with the first 1 or 2 bites. So being mindful throughout the entire meal. So you can look at your plate and think about the flavors you're experiencing, the textures, so how things feel in your mouth. What colors do you see? How do things taste? How does that food look? Where did the food come from? Are you chewing enough? And also directing your thoughts to your physical body and what's happening. So the way things are, what is going on here and now? So these 3 pictures are very different settings and places to eat. So we want to notice where are we eating and what is going on around us. And everything around you is giving your brain information to process. So some of this could contribute to stress. I see the middle picture right there can be kind of stressful with all those colors and patterns, but you might like that. And then some may be just peaceful. So if you set up and decorated your kitchen to be very peaceful, that can lead to a more calming environment. They say that red can make you more hungry. I haven't delved into that research. So colors can also play a part in how we're feeling around eating. And just consider where you eat, and that where you eat, you want it to be easier for you to calm down and just strictly focus on the practice of eating. So you want to decrease distractions, eat in only one place at home. And so that means not sitting in front of the television, eating quickly, distracted by the TV. And it's really recommended, and I'm so guilty of this, I don't know about y'all, but not eating at your desk at work. So really taking that break and setting aside at least 20 minutes to go somewhere else, either out in your car or in nature, whatever you can do, to just strictly focus on eating and enjoying your food. For those of you who still listen to radio, turning off the radio and again, turning off the TV, closing your eyes and utilizing your senses to notice the taste, the smell, and the mouthfeel. And If you do journal, a good practice is to journal about any distressing thoughts prior to sitting down and eating, and then just set them aside after you've written them down and gotten them out of your system. So I alluded to eating mindfully with others and how a lot of times that can be a challenge. Um, you want to notice your surroundings and your body and take a few mindful breaths before starting to eat, especially if you're out with other people. In a lot of cultures, and even in our culture, before the meal, prayer is expected. So just, if you pray, then praying before your meals can be good for mindfulness, um, and also for cultivating gratitude. Also, ordering first. So, taking the initiative to order some healthy food first, and so that you're not tempted by the way that others ordered, or you don't feel pressure to order a specific food or types of food. And setting the pace. Remember, you've been practicing mindfulness at this point, and so making sure that it's taking you at least 20 minutes to eat that meal. And other people tend to match the pace of those around them. So, you just set the stage and you set the pace for the group of people that you're with. Avoiding negative talk, so no talk about your bodies or your food choices, because our choices are neutral, they're not good or bad. And then also limiting stressful conversation topics while you're eating. So I've mentioned some practical action steps for mindful eating. Ideally, we want to take 30 minutes to eat a meal, but even 20 is probably better than most of us are doing right now. You can get a timer to practice and just again, more homework. See how long it takes you to eat dinner tonight and see if you're taking at least 20 minutes. You'd be surprised that most people eat within 5 to 7 minutes. So just do what you can to try to increase that time. And some tips that help you do that is to chew 20 times per bite is what's recommended. You may find that your food turns to mush by that point, but at least increasing the amount of times you're eating. So if you're chewing, so if you're chewing 5 to 7 times, you increase it to 10 to 12 and so on and so forth. And if you're eating something like a steak or chicken, chewing 20 times may be a little bit more realistic for you. And you can also increase that time by purposing to put down your utensil between each bite. That's going to help elongate that eating time. Naming 3 textures and 3 flavors when you eat. Respecting your hunger and fullness cues, and so using that hunger fullness scale that I showed in the previous slide. Keeping a thoughts and moods journal and writing in it before meals to get everything out, get it out on paper. Or if you're not a journaler and say you eat with a family member, if you want to, even before you sit down at the table, if you had a bad day at work or need to talk, just getting those thoughts out verbally can also be helpful if you're not a journaler. Naming 2 things your body feels after you eat different foods. And this is an interesting one that I would challenge you to try. And again, we want to be neutral. So using non-judgmental language for your food and your feelings. So something like, this is pleasant, or this is an unpleasant experience, or just a neutral, and not, I'm good for eating this, or I'm bad, or this is good, or this is bad, but just neutral descriptors. And then also avoiding screens at meals. This is the biggest distractor. And I guarantee you right now, if you were to go out to any restaurant, and you're going to see so many people with screens, even if they're sitting with a group of people. We were out to eat a couple weeks ago, and there was a table of 10 family members, and 8 of them had their phones out. My husband and I looked at each other like, oh, we're actually guilty as well. But just avoiding screens, and not only phones, but turning off the TV as well. I know a lot of people have the habit of putting on the news in the background, which is a huge non-conscious stressor. And so turning off the news as well. All right, so this is going to be in your notes. I believe Lauren's going to send out the slides, but I'd like for you guys to do a mindful eating activity at home. And then I'm also going to send a supplemental document in addition to a lot of these questions that I wanted y'all to ask yourself that you can fill out as well. So I picked some salty, harder foods as well as a sweet orange, or you can use any fruit here. It's a little bit softer to eat. So now there's some references here as well, but I do want to give you guys an opportunity to ask any questions you have. So feel free to ask away. You can take yourself off mute. Any questions? Any questions?
I have one.
Okay, go ahead.
If you can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Basically, and this is a person.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, this is a personal thing that maybe can help other people too, because I'm dealing with two things. One is my cancer recovery, so I'm trying to eat well and everything, and then the other side of it is I have what's called Graves, and it's a hyperthyroid thing. So it makes me very hungry. And so I'm in a combination of not wanting to overeat due to my cancer recovery and situation, and I'm very hungry. So I guess my question is, how is the best to, I feel like I want to talk to a nutritionist that can really understand your personal kind of situation, because things like whole grains, or like, because of my age and everything, it's like, am I getting too much protein? Should I, is this the plate actually, is it kind of like, in other words, are there individual kind of situations where, like, as you're older, should you have less fiber? Can you get too much protein? But as you get older, you should have more healthy protein. So I guess I'm kind of rambling, but what do you do in a situation like this when you really need help with your nutrition and you need somebody like you, maybe, that is very, that can help with these kind of specific things, especially after cancer recovery, because we need some sort of specific kind of things. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes perfect sense. Can y'all hear me okay now?
I can hear you well, Blair.
Okay, perfect. So you hit the nail on the head when you said that you wanted to speak to a dietitian. We are all different, and this class is made up of very general guidelines.
I'm not hearing anything, so I don't know if everybody else is.
Are y'all hearing me now?
I can hear you.
Okay.
I'm fine, yeah.
Okay, perfect. So, for example, and you don't have to share any further information, but so some people, you do have a unique situation. So some people with a hyperthyroid, if your weight is staying the same or dropping, then you just may need more calories. But you would want to do it in a healthful manner by incorporating high calorie foods like oils, like olive oil, avocado oil, nuts, seeds, things like that, which your dietitian can help you with. Yes, that makes perfect sense. Yeah. Can you all hear me okay now?
I can hear you.
I can hear you well, Blair.
Okay, perfect. So I would want to set you up eventually with our survivorship dietitian. Sorry, I'm getting some feedback. Lauren, am I good?
Yeah, I think I fixed it.
A very general guidelines. Okay, so I would want to connect you with our survivorship dietitian. Okay. If y'all have a pen handy, I'm going to put my email address in the chat box. And if any of you are interested with working with one of our dietitians, then you can email me and I can help get you set up. Okay, so I think, are we good with that question? Because long story short, everybody is different, and it is important that everybody's having a different protein amount need. If you're having, if fiber isn't working for you, if you're having diarrhea, constipation, we would give you different recommendations as well. So I can get you set up with one of our dietitians. So I'm looking in the chat box now, and there's a question: is salt and dairy okay? Salt, it's recommended that none of us get more than 2,300 milligrams a day, which if you're eating any processed food whatsoever, you're probably getting that. It's a little bit more concerning with those of us with elevated blood pressure. We would need to definitely monitor our salt. And yes, dairy is okay, particularly reduced fat or fat-free dairy. So yes, dairy is fine. What other questions do y'all have?
Blair?
Yes.
What are your thoughts about taking vitamins?
So this is an excellent question, and the American Institute of Cancer Research recommends that unless you're deficient in a different vitamin or mineral, you probably don't need to take it. Now, if I have patients that really and truly just are not eating or not eating sufficiently, I will recommend them take a multivitamin with around 100% of the estimated daily value. You just don't want to have, nobody needs 10,000% of anything. And so it's really patient dependent, but the majority of us, particularly in the context of survivorship, can usually get 100% of our of daily value via food. And so I don't recommend it often in survivorship. But if you are deficient in like magnesium, vitamin D, that's quite common, then absolutely repleting whatever you're deficient is very important.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Blair, you've got one in the chat from Tiffany.
Okay.
Oh, it popped away. Hold on. I actually have two questions. Tiffany asks, are soy products okay? Like tofu, soy sauce, and soy milk?
Great question, Tiffany. This is another one we hear a lot. Soy products are not only okay, but now if I have but potentially helpful. So soy products, and that's 2 to 3 servings a day is what you would want to limit to. And I don't have anybody that that typically eats more than 2 servings a day of soy products. 100%. You can definitely, those are great plant-based protein choices. So tofu, tempeh, soy milk. I see soy sauce on here, and that's just for those of us who need to watch our sodium. Soy sauce is very high in sodium, so that's just something to take into consideration. Okay, absolutely. So next question says, can you speak to chemo belly? I'm bloated on Xylota and understand I need to reduce fiber, but still constipated. So this is one of those cases I would say I would definitely recommend working with a dietitian on this, because some of us need more soluble fiber, some more insoluble fiber, and some a combination. And so I would, my email address is up there. So I would say definitely reach out and I could set you up with one of the dietitians. Probiotics and prebiotics, I don't have an issue with probiotics or prebiotics. As dietitians, we say foods first. So, eating probiotic and prebiotic foods is good to do. And if you're eating a variety of plants, you're already getting in sufficient prebiotics. If you like yogurt, sauerkraut, all those types of things, then you can, kefir is great for probiotics. Then you can absolutely do this by food alone. But I don't have an issue with probiotics or prebiotic supplementation. Anything else? Any other questions, concerns? All righty, y'all. Well, thank you so much for joining today. And please continue to join. Tell your friends. We'll be having our next one in February on gut health and the mind-body connection. And that is a hot topic right now, y'all. And this presentation, I've heard it before. That is one you do not want to miss. So please sign up for that one as well.
Yes.
Thank you for joining Cancer Support Community Atlanta for this program. If you're interested in other live or recorded programs, please visit the online program tab of our website, cscatlanta.org. Or follow us on Facebook. We'll be sharing additional information on upcoming programs.